Oh, I tell you, the state of the community right now, it's actually really positive. Hey Pokemon Masters, Toby here, and yeah, this is kind of bizarre. I was ready for this to be the point in time after our first big Scarlet and Violet trailer that reveals more about the game, more accurately what the graphics are going to be like, what the themes are going to be, some of the new Pokemon. This is the point in time after a Pokemon game's release that usually criticism is at its absolute highest. Weirdly, not after the game's actually released, usually after the first big trailer. This is the point when the Pokemon community goes, ugh, this is what we're getting, really? I say the Pokemon community, and I want to be clear about something. The Pokemon community is huge. Not everyone in the community is like that. Some people are. Some people are fairly critical. I don't think there's anything wrong with being critical, and I have my own criticisms about what I've seen so far and going forward and what I'd like to see happening. But the Pokemon community is widespread. I mean, it's the biggest grossing media franchise, like, ever? So Pokemon fans come from all backgrounds. They come in all shapes and sizes, genders, sexualities. They come in all races of people, all types of human, all ages. Everyone likes Pokemon, or at least someone of everyone seems to like Pokemon. You think you're a hardcore gamer, bro, but then you see that like 60-year-old man who's playing Pokemon Go and she's got way higher stat Pokemon than you. Yeah, she's a true Pokemon fan too. She is part of the community. I think while the Pokemon community doesn't necessarily represent everyone across the world, it represents a pretty diverse group of people across the world with different opinions who like this franchise. Because at the end of the day, the thing I have in common with every other Pokemon YouTuber and every one of you watching and all of those mums playing Pokemon Go, so we all like Pokemon, we're all fans. It might frustrate us at times, which is why I put out a sort of survey every time a new generation comes out, and I like to talk about the results of that survey. I haven't seen the results yet, but I know that they are a lot more positive than they were this time 3 years ago when Sword and Shield came out and the trailer revealed, well, it revealed a couple things. A new open wild area, playing with multiples of our friends, banging music, new regional variations. It was all very exciting until the dreaded words, not every Pokemon will be in the Pokedex happened, and then at that point, it kind of got serious all of a sudden. A lot of anger and a lot of shouting, some at the national dex, some at the reasoning for the national dex being graphics when you look at the graphics and you go, hang on, this isn't up to par with the rest of the gaming industry. So I made a survey just to see how people in my portion of this community are feeling. And again, you're all gonna be a little bit biased because if you watch my video, chances are we've got a similar way of thinking. And so while I try to get it out to as many of you as possible, there are 1,778 responses that I am working with for this survey to see how you are feeling about the state of Pokemon in 2022. And I'm gonna make a guess here based on what I've seen and the kind of discussions on Twitter, is that you're feeling generally a lot more positive about the franchise, as I am. That's just my personal opinion, by the way. I'm feeling a lot more positive. Don't get me wrong, criticisms, especially graphically, but I'm really feeling like this is a good direction and that they are finally kind of listening to what we're saying. So anyway, that out of the way, here's the results of the survey. In 2022, I asked people what their favorite main series Pokemon game was, not including Pokemon Legends Arceus. That's the most recent game to come out, and I suspected that might be a lot of people's favorites. What do you think the results were? Well, 24.4% of people said Pokemon Black and White and Black and White 2. Now, fair enough, possibly I should have separated Black and White and Black and White 2 into separate divisions, and I would guess that the majority of the liking of this is for Black and White 2 specifically. But yeah, Gen 5 is currently people's favorite generation. It's the generation people are looking on most nostalgically. The wild thing was, when I did this survey in 2019, granted it reached way more people, it got like 8,000 responses, 25% of people said Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum were their favorite. But now that's shifted down to just 14% of the answers, with no new games being added to the mix other than Sword and Shield. So many fewer people. So what does that say? Is that representative of the shift of nostalgia to the age range of people that maybe watch my videos, kind of as we get further away from those games? Actually, you know what? Platinum was the pinnacle. No, maybe Black and White and Black and White 2 were the pinnacle. I guess we'll find out for sure in 3 years if the answer to that question is X and Y, which I can't imagine, because personally, I think X and Y are awful, but that's just me. However, the moment I added Pokemon Legends Arceus into the survey, everything changed, as I suspect it might have done, with 45.7% of people saying that Legends Arceus was their favorite Pokemon game, like, ever, which I can't even argue with. I think Legends Arceus was brilliant, which is why I see the franchise optimistically, and I'm looking at it in terms of steps in the right direction. That might be like the opposite of nostalgia blindness. I don't know if that's got a name, where you're like, hey, I've just seen this thing and it was really cool, but I still think people are today, 6 months later, talking pretty favorably about Legends Arceus. When it comes to the least favorite main series Pokemon games, not a lot's changed in 3 years. Most people say that Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow are their least favorite, which is a shame because Pokemon Yellow always holds a nostalgic space for me. I couldn't make it my least favorite, but I get why. They are the least developed Pokemon games. I think the more interesting take is like what's in second place here. With X and Y being generally our second least favorite game, that's why I think it's really interesting, because imagine if in 3 years it's like, oh, actually that was the pinnacle of like, imagine if that ends up being the case. I'll be so fascinated to do this in 3 years and check in. But X and Y is followed closely by Sun and Moon and Ultra Moon, which 3 years ago was the second least favorite, followed by X and Y. So those two have sort of swapped places. Now, as the result of Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl coming out, was it people's favorite remake game? Let's take a look to the remake games graphs. Yep, everyone's favorite, obviously Heart Gold Soul Silver, followed closely by Auras, that makes sense. Everyone's least favorite, oh, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, now taking a very big lead. People not fond of that game, and I'm like, I get it. BDSP was not what I hoped it would be at all. Graphically, it had some good bits going for it, but aside from that, like, a faithful remake of some of the worst games, Diamond and Pearl. Should have done a remake of Platinum. Platinum was, in my opinion, significantly better than Diamond and Pearl. It's not just a few small changes, it's a few small crucial changes to the gameplay that make it a better game. Plus, some of the new stuff they added, like the Pokemon hopping in battle, oh, it takes so long. But hey ho, that's just me. Now for this next question, I did how excited are you for Scarlet and Violet, and how excited are you for Sword and Shield back in 2019? In 2019, the graph, it was like, how good do you think Sword and Shield will be? The graph was listing towards the 7, 8, and 9s. No one was like 10 out of 10 super excited for these games. But Scarlet and Violet, it is way more consistent with lots of people thinking 10 out of 10, these games are going to be fantastic. So I think that's a really positive outlook for everyone to have. Just also pair that with caution, because, you know, no game can be perfect, and I think specifically Pokemon games struggle to be so as a result of their yearly release cycle. So, you know, I'm going in more of an 8, 9 on that graph. Just like, you know, I think they're going to be great. I think they might be the best Pokemon games yet, but they're not going to be perfect video games by any means. Interestingly, the next question I asked was, how much did you enjoy Sword and Shield with the DLC? And that graph lined up relatively closely with the how good do you think Sword and Shield will be 3 years ago. So people were pretty much right on the money. So hey, let's hope that's the case for Scarlet and Violet. I also asked people how much they felt the DLC improved Sword and Shield, and the response was something I can only sort of describe as yeah, kinda, yeah, I think maybe, probably. You can tell I'm a real statistician. That's how you digest information. Yeah, maybe it's sort of. How much did you enjoy Legends Arceus? Boom. How much did you enjoy Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl? Boom. Legends Arceus? Oh yeah. BDSP? Not so much. The highest it's hitting there is a 7 out of 10, maybe an 8 out of 10 at a push, but most people really just didn't think amazingly about BDSP. Fair enough, totally get it. When given free reign, I asked people how they're feeling about the state of Pokemon currently, and all the words that I wanted to see are there. All the words that I feel: hopeful, optimistic, excited. Look at the Pokemon franchise. It looks like it's going to turn into something, and it's taking steps in the right direction. This is something I've felt for a while now. I think when Pokemon made the transition from Black and White 2 to X and Y, it was 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Then, with Sun and Moon coming out, I don't think that was the original plan. I think there was a Pokemon Z plan. I think Pokemon Go kind of mixed things up with Let's Go happening and the Switch timing release, and I really think they've been playing a lot of catch up since X and Y, taking 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But with Sword and Shield, while absolutely it was not where it needed to be to meet industry standards, and even to some respects Scarlet and Violet doesn't look like it's going to be graphically, though I'm not super fussed because the graphics aren't the most important part, and I do think it's going to get there. It's just going to take time. Plus, we haven't seen the final release, and game footage is not final, remember those famous words. I do think they've been taking steps in the right direction, and I think Legends Arceus is a good proof of concept of that. Let's just see how much of that carries over to Scarlet and Violet. I think the real definitive moment is when the next generation comes out, Gen 10. Have they taken everything on board? is Pokemon gonna, like, you know, it's a shame it's taken so long, but I really do think it's taken that long for them to get caught back up to speed with where they were. That's just my personal opinion. Feeling optimistic, feeling hopeful. I'd love to know your thoughts about that in the comments. I'm gonna be reading the comments on this video very closely for sure. What is the worst creative decision that you think Game Freak have ever made? I've seen some not making Pokemon Z, but also Z moves and Gigantamax. These things are all in there. I see the experience share and I see the dex cut, and someone wrote Lopunny, which I get, you know. Generally speaking though, all the criticisms of Pokemon are the classic ones that you would expect if the majority of people, even the optimists like myself who maybe watch my videos, are feeling those, then I think they're probably pretty valid criticisms. Fair enough. Though I don't know that Z-moves are the worst creative decision that Game Freak have ever made. Like, they're not my favorite thing in the world, but I don't think they're even necessarily bad. But hey, that's just me. I'm not a competitive battler. What is the best creative decision that you think Game Freak have ever made? People are saying Pokemon Legends Arceus, people are saying regional variants, people are saying Megas. Game Freak knows this. Game Freak are going to continue to put them in games. I have no doubt. I asked people if there was any Pokemon games that they would say they would hate. Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl outshone the rest following that. A pretty equal amount of people said Pokemon Sword and Shield and Pokemon X and Y. X and Y I can sort of understand, they're just not my favorite games personally. Though I actually think Sun and Moon are probably worse, but that's just me. Sword and Shield on the other hand, I don't understand. I don't think they're like the worst Pokemon games Game Freak have ever made. Like I said, I think they're huge steps in the right direction, but maybe I'm a little blind because I'm a Galar region boy. I asked people how they felt about the national deck situation now that we are where we are, and with 1 being I absolutely hate it, it's a terrible thing that they've done, with 10 being I love a smaller Pokedex roster. And you'd be, I think, fair to say that a lot of people are smack bang in the middle. Some people kind of like it, some people don't kind of like it, but actually a lot more of the votes skewing towards the higher end, and that's just so funny because the national dex cut was sort of the label of the movement of criticism, but I always felt at the time it was never really about the national dex, it was about the reasoning for the national dex, which were the graphical elements. I also asked people how much they felt their minds had changed about the national dex situation since Sword and Shield, and while a lot of people said that they were indifferent or that their mind hadn't changed at all, a small percentage of people said that their mind had changed for the more negative, with a slightly bigger but still small percentage of people saying that their mind had actually changed for the positive as a result. So that's kind of interesting. I asked people how they'd feel if not every Pokemon was programmed into Scarlet and Violet, with 1 being no biggie, not a big deal at all, and 10 being this is horrendous, please, they can't make the game without that, and the vast majority of people said not fussed. Genuinely not fussed, which I think is a good thing that we are kind of like past that. I also asked people about the visual style, animation, and quality of Legends Arceus and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, with 1 being no biggie, you know, I enjoyed the game, I'll enjoy the game, it's all good, and 10 being absolutely terrible and just not up to scratch. And I think the opinions were a lot more mixed here and shifted towards the middle. I think there is a general sentiment of like, look, it's not the end of the world when it comes to the graphical quality of a Pokemon game, but also it does feel like it should be better, and I can't argue with that. It does feel like it should be better. It feels like there are other Switch games out there that look fantastic, and we all know the reason is because the development cycle of Pokemon games are far shorter, so they can't do as much as, say, like Breath of the Wild would do, or Mario Odyssey would do. At the same time, the argument is, yeah, but it's Game Freak, and they make more money than any other franchise, so the money should be there. But then the counter argument to that is, yeah, but you can't just throw money at an issue. If you hire more people, it actually makes the process more complicated, and maybe the game that comes out isn't a Pokemon game anymore, and actually you have too many people, too many cooks in the kitchen, and so that's really got to be up to Game Freak to decide, and that debate can go on forever. I've seen all of the sides of it, and I understand. My feeling is that the quality of the Pokemon games, well, they are getting better, and I think, by the way, the Pokemon textures in Scarlet and Violet look great, and what I'd love to see is a whole Pokemon game that one day looks like new Pokemon Snap, which I do think is a long way away yet, like probably another generation or so. I do think like it's getting where I want it to go, and it's progressing in a better direction, but like you, I'm kind of in the middle. It's just not quite where it should be, right? Yeah, but you know, that's more my opinion kind of mixed in with the graphs. You can, you know, see for yourself. I did ask people if they were excited for Scarlet and Violet, what are the main reasons that other people or you might not be? And the main answer was absolutely the graphics. I do want to remind people here that what we saw in the trailer, even the most latest trailer, it's not the final graphics necessarily. It might be, but they do, like, the whole game footage is not final thing. It's very, very real. We all got punished for that, for thinking that what Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl was going to look like was what we saw in the first trailer. It might be that this second trailer is a more close, accurate representation, or it might be that there is just more polishes to be done. We don't know yet and won't know until the game comes out, but I understand, I agree, graphics might be the one reason that I think people are not excited. A couple of other responses saying too rushed or too soon after Pokemon Legends Arceus, and that's a fair comment. I guess that's really up for Game Freak to decide if it's too rushed or too soon, or if they've had the allocation on the teams for those. It's up to them, I guess. I asked people, which of these do you want to see the least? Virtual console re-releases of old Pokemon titles on the Switch, Ilka-style remakes of older games like BDSP, Legends games of other regions, or Let's Go-style remakes of older games. I still today see people talking about how they're going to do Let's Go Johto. I am convinced they will never do it because, like, it's just, there's no reason to do it in the same way that Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee were designed to capitalize on the huge success of Let's Go, of Pokemon Go. I just don't think we'll see more Legends games. And people said in regards to the games they want to see the least and the most, while the Let's Go thing was huge, Ilka-style remakes, which actually surprised me because other than, if it wasn't Diamond and Pearl, I do think like Heart Gold, Soul Silver remade in the Ilka style might be kind of cool, but I can see why you wouldn't want them. The one that people want to see the most is Legends games by far. People want to see more Legends games, and I totally agree, 100%. Followed by Virtual Console re-releases. Yeah, I think I'd prefer like a re-release of like Diamond, Pearl, Platinum on the Switch over Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, and I guess the same for Heart Gold Soul Silver. Like, don't go to the effort to repackage it up in an Ilka style. Just re-release Heart Gold Soul Silver. They were fine as they were. I'll buy them. Just give me those special event mons, like the Celebi time travel thing. That was really cool. I want to do that. I also asked people if they actually watch my videos. A lot of people said yes, a lot of people said no, and a lot of people said learn how to spell. I'm sorry, when I do these forms, I'm very dyslexic, and that translates to keyboard. I did do one other question separately in a separate form that even fewer people answered, so I have to preface this is an even smaller sample size, but it's a good question that came out after the latest trailer. Actually, it did pretty well. I got 1,300 responses. So based on 1,300 of your responses, a two-question survey. After seeing the latest trailer, out of 10, with 10 being super excited and 0 being not at all, or 1 being not at all, how excited are you for Scarlet and Violet? And after this first, or I guess the second trailer, a lot of people, it's definitely up there. It's not 10 out of 10 excited, but it is sort of the 8, 9, 10 zone, mostly 8. And what is your main concern for Scarlet and Violet? Again, by far, the main word there is graphics. So, what is the state of the community right now? I think we all loved Legends Arceus. We all thought Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl was kind of poo-poo. We are all excited and almost like completely excited by Scarlet and Violet, and we're feeling like it's positive and it's optimistic and it's the right things. Graphics are not exactly where we want them to be though for like a modern 2022 Pokemon game. It's just not there yet. But we know that it doesn't make or break the experience. It's just not where it should be, and it's kind of frustrating. We would love to see more Legends games. We'd love to see some Virtual Console games appear on the Nintendo Switch. Don't bother with any more of the Ilka remakes. This first one proved to the community, I think, at large, that this really isn't for us. And that is the state of the community in 2022. Thank you to all of you who took part in the survey. Cannot wait to see your thoughts in the comments down below. And of course, sorry, that was a little burp. So hi, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master.
As always, a massive thank you to those of you who support this channel on Patreon. You make this channel possible, and a special thank you to the big patrons of this month, the Elgator, Jedruben, and Michael Hornschuch. Thank you.